Now, everyone who goes to the theatre must be aware that the production they're watching does not run itself, though as long as the performance goes smoothly, nothing should spoil the magic of that illusion. Depending on the piece, however, it might well have taken a small army to develop the production from page to stage. Every aspect of a theatrical event requires skilled hands. Directors, designers, actors, technicians working on lights and sound and props, special effects and costumes, carpenters, electricians, caterers, producers, stage managers, and production managers. But what do they all actually do? In this, the first of an occasional series, the Radio 2 Arts programme goes backstage at Her Majesty's Theatre in London to spend a few hours with Stewart Arnott, the stage manager on Phantom of the Opera. We join him on stage 20 minutes before a full rehearsal, checking the flight path of a rather large falling chandelier.
There's quite a lot of big heavy machinery involved in this show. For example, the chandelier, which hangs over the audience, weighs about 1.5 tons. Or the masquerade staircase, the big staircase that opens Act 2, that weighs about 2.5 tons. And that's suspended on chains on the back wall of the theatre. It just simply hangs there, unless it's in use at the beginning of the act. Other than that, it's just suspended on chains. So there's a lot of heavy stuff around. It is quite heavy-duty stuff. Dan, you look like you're looking for me.
Yes. Do you know if we're using pyrotechnics?
Yes, please.
Device?
Yeah, yes, please.
The full works?
It's the full works.
Love
it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem. My duties, principally, I suppose, are to ensure that each day we're able to perform Phantom from all technical aspects. That's really what I have to look after. I deal with problems as they crop up. Sometimes in the running of the show we may have a problem during a show. Maybe a piece of scenery gets jammed on something, or it could be any number of things that goes wrong. But whenever anything like that goes wrong, I'm the one that has to make a decision as to what we're going to do about that, how we're going to solve it. Of course, always I have to try and keep the show running. That old cliche of the show must go on really does exist. It really is a last resort to stop a show, because once you've started the show, the audience are watching it, they're expecting the show to run, and the absolute last thing we should ever do is interrupt that. Sometimes we may have to make a small alteration to the show just on the fly, something just to get us past a little problem, but we do that, and that's my job to make those decisions and to pass on all the information to all the relevant departments and make sure everybody knows what we're going to do about this little problem. And then, of course, if it's something that maybe needs a repair or a bit of maintenance, I need to organise that so that that's done before we get to the next show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your quarter hour call. You have 15 minutes. Thank you.
But your
The tail on that side was obscuring the spot 5.
Last night the word we got was that on Tuesday's matinee it wasn't bad, in the evening there was a bit of a problem, and then last night it was even worse.
Which means
the maintenance of the show, that's the whole show, not just the fabric of the set and the machinery and so on, but also procedures, the way people do their cues, how they do the jobs they have to do. The maintenance of all of that is also a big part of my job. So I need to keep an overall view of what condition the set is in, so certain pieces may need a repair, or something might need to be painted again, and so I keep an eye on that and organise getting all that done. And also I keep an eye on everybody on stage doing their jobs to make sure everyone's in the right place at the right time, to make sure that everything functions nice and smoothly, and if something goes wrong with that, then I make sure that gets put right. So sometimes we'll rehearse a little section just to make sure that it's right, but we do on a daily basis do these kind of bits of maintenance just to keep everything running nice and smoothly. We've got lots of cloths flown in, overhauled, so that's flown in further than they normally would be. We've got the chandelier and a couple of other things across the front of the stage draped in silks. It's set up to look like an old discarded theatre that's kind of just shut up and abandoned, and everything's got dust sheets on it and gathered years and years worth of dust, and it just sits like that, and that's what the audience look at. It's kind of, in a way, I always think of the preset, the thing that the audience look at while they're coming in before the show starts. It's kind of like the CD cover. It's the thing that you're going to look at for the longest, because this will be in view of the audience for far longer than any of the scenes that we're going to play. So I like to take time to go and to make sure this is all sitting exactly as it should be. Lawrence, are you ready for us to start? Okay, so if you could all come up onto the stage and take your Act 1 beginners positions. Thank you very much. You might imagine that when the show's running, everybody is simply on the stage doing their job and they know when to do things and what to do at a given time. For a great part that is the case, but the show is also cued, which means one person coordinates all of the scene changes, the lighting changes and so on to keep the show moving at the right pace and to make sure everything's in the right place at the right time. And there's a whole system for cueing a show, which is something audiences are never aware of, and nor should they be aware of. It's part of the technical side of the show. Go, and the next cue when the ballet girls go up in attitude, LXQ 105 and fly Q 31. Go, when the body falls in and the stair trap's clear, I can call stair trap. Go, then as Raoul and Christine run on an embrace, I call LXQ 106. Go, the next little chunk of cues I take from... Phantom's a very busy show compared to a lot of other shows. On some shows, you can kind of go in, set your props, do a few little cues over the course of the evening and go home, and there's not that much work involved. Phantom, though, is a very complicated show. There's a great amount of integration between the technical and performance aspects. Okay, so here come the Phantom and Christine out of the backing truck, and I shine my torch for them as they go round into the wing and start climbing up the travelator tower. Health and safety is a big issue here because it's a huge show, lots of big heavy machinery, lots of people moving around very quickly, quite often in the dark, is potentially very, very dangerous. I quite often liken these big shows to crossing a busy street, in that there are rules and regulations about what should be where, when and how it should be moving, but you have to keep your wits about you, and ultimately everyone is responsible for their own safety. Upstage, the travelator's just coming to a stop, just watching the bridge line up. The first really big show that I worked on was Mutiny, way back in the mid-80s, David Essex musical, which had a huge boat as part of the set that sort of rose up out of the stage and swung around all over the place. That was quite an exciting show, technically, to work on, and that was, I think, the show that really hooked me on these big technical musicals, the fact that you could do so much with all that machinery, although of course that never takes away from the performance. I also worked on Metropolis, that was another very big technical one. Miss Saigon, when it first opened, The Hunting of the Snark, Crazy for You, and then Phantom of the Opera. There we go, that's the boat just starting, it's off onto stage, so I'll nip back down stage and page this out of the way for the boat driver to come round. I'm also just watching the candles and the boat, making sure that the boat doesn't crash into the candles. Now we have the candelabra coming up out of the stage. I'm watching those come up, and at the same time paging this black out of the way for the boat driver to come round, and here we are. So now I can leave the boat driver and move off downstage where I get a better view, and leave the boat to start the second leg of its journey. Over the course of an average week, just a basic week, when we're not doing anything different or special with Phantom, we do approximately 20 hours of performing, about 20 hours of maintenance, about 15 hours of preparation for those performances, about 7 hours, sometimes more, of rehearsals, which gives us a total of 62 hours of scheduled work in a basic week. So it's not the easy life that some people think it is. We don't sort of all get up at 3 p.m. and swan in and do a couple of hours of a show and then go home at night. It's hard work. It takes a lot of dedication. People don't easily drift into this business and stay. People who stay in this business are usually there because they really believe in what they're doing and, you know, really, really do want to do it.
You alone can make my song take flight. It's all
the long-running Phantom of the Opera. And that's the first of our special backstage reports by Neil Rosser.